Hello, my name is Tony. The relationship between movies, movie actors, and your average film goer is a complex one. It doesn't take a great deal to establish certain associations in the public consciousness which result in connecting certain types of actors with certain types of roles in certain types of movies, and sometimes these connections can be tricky to transcend or break. For instance, an actor normally associated with westerns like, say, John Wayne may not achieve the same level of popular success if attempting to transition into musical comedy. Not that, to my knowledge, the Duke ever seriously attempted that, but theoretically he could have done so because you don't need to be able to sing in order to feature in a movie musical. Think of Rex Harrison, Lee Marvin, or Pierce Brosnan, or Richard Harris. And Wayne had a sense of humour, something made obvious by his portrayal of Genghis Khan in The Conqueror. I'm sure he got offered such projects, and I'm equally sure he was self-aware enough to imagine it a stretch too far for his core audience to accept. The idea of the Duke in top hat and tails, twirling a cane and tap dancing on the Brooklyn Bridge singing "Oh What a Beautiful Morning" just doesn't fit that comfortably with his established image. So it's something the world was spared, although I must confess it is something I'd have likely paid to see. But that's probably just me. Sean Connery was James Bond from his debut in the role in 1962. Sean Connery wanted to do other things as an actor. Sean Connery made films with Alfred Hitchcock, Martin Ritt, John Borman, and Sidney Lumet. Sean Connery didn't have a box office hit outside of the Bond franchise until Murder on the Orient Express in 1974, and even then he wasn't the lead. He was part of an ensemble cast in a star-studded vehicle. Sure, later on he scored success with The Man Who Would Be King, Highlander, The Untouchables, The Rock, and The Name of the Rose, but casting off the shadow of Bond wasn't easy for him. Roger Moore then. Rog was primarily a TV actor. He was a big success as Simon Templar in the long-running 60s show The Saint, and later with Tony Curtis in The Persuaders. His sporadic forays into movies never gave him the breakthrough he wanted, or any financial or critical success. His last shot at giving a real character acting performance on the big screen came in The Man Who Haunted Himself in 1970, and in fairness, he was both decent and convincing in it, pulled out all the stops, the ones his limited talent afforded him, as a staid businessman menaced by a doppelganger who was slowly taking over his life. I guess when that one bombed, he must have thought, fuck it, I'll just be Roger Moore. It's way less effort. And so it came to pass. Rog replaced Connery as James Bond in Live and Let Die in 1973. Hard on the heels of that relative success, he was engaged by producer Michael Klinger to take the male lead in the screen version of Wilbur Smith's 1970 action novel Goldmine. The film was simply titled Gold. Get used to that, you're going to hear it a lot. It was released in 1974, and wouldn't you know it, it was a moderate box office hit, a top 20 movie in the UK, and the critics were fairly positive towards it. After one film as Bond, Rog had achieved what took Sean Connery more than a decade, a financially successful mainstream movie outside of the Bond franchise. Go figure. Do you know I once bought a Spandau Ballet album? This one, which had their song Gold on it. As I recall, I was drunk and it was my birthday, and I staggered into Woolworths, remember Woolies, to get myself a present, and that's what I came out with. None of which constitutes much of a plausible excuse, just another error in judgment for which I can never fully atone. Okay, so, Gold. Didn't take the world by storm, was only ever released in the States as part of a double bill, but was popular enough and raked in enough cash to bankroll Klinger's next project, Shout at the Devil, again based on a Wilbur Smith novel and starring Moore. Naturally, Gold eventually rocked up at the Market Hall Cinema around 1975, and equally naturally, I rocked up to watch it. In fact, more than once, because it kept returning on double bills with other movies as the decade wore on. But repeat watching was okay by me, because the film was a source of enjoyment, and back then, I had a higher tolerance for repetition. Higher tolerance for most things, now I think of it. Gold is about gold mining in South Africa. Rog plays Rod Slater, a mining engineer who hates gold for the mining fatalities it causes in the pursuit of fueling the greed of the rich. He works at the fictitious Sonderditch mine near Johannesburg, which is owned by Hirschfeld, a curmudgeonly old bastard played by Ray Milland. Hirschfeld's granddaughter, Terry Susanna York, is married to Manfred Steiner, Bradford Dillman, the sly and sneaky mine director who is involved with the London crime syndicate. He has the current general manager of the mine in his pocket, and together they hatch a nefarious plan to drill into an underground lake and flood and destroy destroy the mine, killing lots of miners into the bargain. The syndicate members will profit from share dealing and raising the price of gold on the world market. This plan goes to shit when a tunnel collapses and the general manager is killed. Stainer favours Slater as a replacement general manager as he feels he will be more easily manipulated to continue with the disastrous drilling. But Hirschfeld wants some guy who is next in line in the pecking order, so Stainer introduces Slater to his wife Terry. Big mistake if marital fidelity is something you value, so she might influence Hirschfeld's decision, as he dotes on and indulges the cute little English chick. Slater gets the job, but is a tougher nut than expected, and has the cooperation and respect of the black mining workforce, especially his chief miner and close friend Big King, Simon Sabella. Slater puts a fail-safe explosive charge in place that will detonate and seal the tunnel to the underground lake should the mine start to flood, thus ruining Stainer's destructive plan. Slater embarks on an affair with Terry, as you do, but Stainer turns a blind eye and uses their illicit relationship to get Slater out of the way over the Christmas period. The fail-safe charge is disabled, the drilling continues, and the mine floods, trapping 1,000 workers. Can our hero make it back in time to reconnect the safety charge, set it off, seal the tunnel, and save the day? What do you reckon? There was some controversy at the time of filming because the apartheid regime in South Africa was very much a big issue on the world stage, which resulted in sanctions and boycotts, and this no doubt contributed to Klinger struggling to find a distributor once the film had been made. Still, Hemdale picked it up after British Lion, Anglo EMI and the Rank organisation turned it down. Apart from Moore, Klinger used several other talents associated with the Bond movies: editor and future Bond director John Glenn, production designer Sid Kane, titles designer Morris Binder, and director Peter Hunt, who had directed On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Originally, Steven Spielberg was slated to take it on off the back of Duel, but Moore felt him to be inexperienced, so Hunt stepped in. The distinctive and rousing soundtrack was composed by Elmer Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, Bernstein, and contained 3 songs composed by Bernstein and Don Black. These were the main title song, Gold, performed by Jimmy Helms, Where Have You Been All My Life by Trevor Chance, and Wherever Love Takes Me, sung by Maureen McGovern. The latter composition snagged an Oscar nomination. Bernstein utilises some native black African talent, including traditional tribal chants, and a unique rhythmic track slapped out on actual miners' boots. I kid you not, it's called the Gumboot Dance. It's a great soundtrack encompassing African beat, soul and disco, with pared down orchestration overall. Oh, I can hear the modern day rants about cultural misappropriation and racial exploitation from here. Moore is fine in the lead, his character a more workmanlike hero than Bond, a moderately sophisticated roughneck with a tougher, more abrasive edge. He makes it work despite his inescapable upper middle class persona. Plus there is some genuine on-screen chemistry with his co-star and romantic interest Susanna York. York excelled at playing posh English rose types with a predilection for nude sex scenes in her movies. She doesn't have to reveal anything here, the sex is tasteful and non-explicit, which she probably found a nice change. Bradford Dillman was a busy guy in the 70s, found in a multitude of films and TV shows where he usually played oily, villainous types, weak-chin, nasty pieces of work. He makes a good, unlikable baddie, and Ray Milland is on fine form as the blunt and cantankerous mine owner with a heart of, well... The action is brisk and realistic, the underground scenes being filmed in actual gold mines, lending a sense of authenticity and immersion to the proceedings, and the film maintains a pleasing level of suspense throughout. It's an engaging flick, an easy watch, a lively time waster that in no way taxes the grey cells. Gold is not supportive of the apartheid regime of the time in any significant way. The African miners are clearly portrayed as brave and steadfast workers, callously exploited by rich white overlords who treat them as disposable commodities rather than people, which is likely a realistic reflection of the times and political landscape in which the film is set. The point is made in a matter-of-fact way. Additionally, Susanna York, who Bradford Dillman described as a militant liberal, reportedly used every available publicity opportunity to express her distaste and alarm at the morally reprehensible way in which the black South African miners were treated and the conditions imposed upon them and their families, about which the South African government at the time were less than happy, as you can imagine. So there was some raising of awareness going on. As an interesting aside, Simon Sabella, who played the role of Big King, was an accomplished black South African actor who went on to be the first black South African movie director, notching up 8 films to his credit before his death in 1994. Gold is a well-made action vehicle that time seems to have forgot. Good job then that I'm here to remember it for you. There is a Blu-ray version out there. You can get the soundtrack on digital download or CD, and it has been recently screened on either TCM or the Talking Pictures channel. I can't remember which, sorry, but it's out there if you want it. Bond and Roger Moore fans and completists will find it an essential view. Anyone else, possibly a bit less so. Me, I have a soft spot for it because I'm something of a sad nostalgia hound, and as always, especially these days, I know I could do a lot worse. Thank you for your time and attention. Your support is sincerely appreciated. If you feel so disposed, strike like if you like, or don't like if you don't. And if you feel extra frivolous, you could always leave a comment, subscribe, or hit the notifications bell. Meanwhile, here's a song called Crawl Space.
Something in your mindset gets you in the gang. Didn't go to Wheaton, they can go and hang. Look into the gallows to make a bigger bang. Your soul living in a crawl space. Your soul living in a crawl space. Is that such a crime? Swastikas for breakfast, purges on your mind. Uncle Joe was groovy just before his time. Your soul living in a crawl space. Your soul living in a crawl space. Sunday, pray for what it's worth. Pass the bill on Monday, then go and scorch the earth. Come into you one day by privilege of birth. Your soul living in a crawl space. Your soul living in a crawl space.